Best English practice.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something I know a lot of you grapple with. Speaking English with, well, real confidence.
Yeah, it's a big one.
We've been listening closely to the English Unlocked Speak with Confidence podcast. That's Alex and Maya's show. And our mission today is really to pull out the key ideas, the practical things you can actually do to feel more comfortable, more self-assured when you speak English.
Exactly. We've really tried to get under the surface of their advice on mindset, different methods, and crucially, practice. Lots of practice.
It's not just about knowing what they said, but why it works and how you can make it work for you.
Precisely. It's about application.
Okay, so let's jump right in. One of the first things that really stood out is just why speaking English feels so intimidating for so many learners. What were your thoughts on that part?
Well, what struck me was how common these feelings are. You know, the English Unlocked hosts, they really pinpoint that fear of making mistakes. That's huge.
Yeah.
And also worrying about, like, not having enough words, the vocabulary issue. And then there's the accent anxiety, too. Feeling awkward about how you sound.
It feels very relatable, doesn't it? This pressure people put on themselves to be perfect right away.
Totally unrealistic.
And Alex and Maya stressed this point, and I think it's so important. Mistakes aren't failures. They're actually like essential feedback, part of the learning curve.
They even mentioned, didn't they, that native speakers stumble, too.
Exactly. We all make slips of the tongue. It's normal.
And that fear, it often comes from worrying about being judged, right? That feeling someone's, I don't know, scoring you.
Yeah, definitely.
But honestly, learning a language is about trying things out, experimenting. Most people you talk to, they're probably going to be supportive or at least understand it's tough.
Absolutely. So getting past that first mental block is key. And the source suggests that a really practical way is having some go-to phrases, natural sounding ones.
Yes. Kind of like conversational training wheels.
Huh. Yeah, exactly.
And they give some great examples, like instead of just saying, I don't understand, which can feel a bit blunt,
Right.
suggesting something like, could you explain that again? Or, you know, sorry, I didn't quite catch that. It sounds more engaged, more polite.
It smooths the interaction. And another one swapping how are you for how's everything going.
Feels a bit more casual, maybe, more natural in some situations.
It's these little shifts, these nuances that actually build that feeling of confidence, I think.
And they're so usable. That's what makes them good. They even had that little coffee shop dialogue example.
Oh, yeah, the mini dialogue.
It really showed how the simple back and forths work. You know, the barista saying, hi there, what can I get started for you today?
And the customer responding, hi, I'd like a medium cappuccino, please.
Then the barista, sure, anything else? And great, that'll be $4.50. And the customer, no, that's all for now, thanks. And here you go, thank you.
It just highlights how these basic, predictable phrases make up so much of our daily chat.
Totally. And the more you use them, even just practicing by yourself, the more automatic they become.
It's like building muscle memory for conversation. Okay, so moving on slightly.
Yeah.
Pronunciation. That's another big confidence blocker for many.
Yes, definitely. And I liked the approach Alex and Maya took here. It's very practical.
How so?
Well, they're not pushing for this idea of a perfect native-like accent. That can feel impossible, right?
Totally overwhelming for most people.
Instead, they focus on clarity, just being understood easily. That's the real goal.
They had some good examples, too, like the word comfortable. Spelling-wise, you might think comfortable. But most people actually say it more like C-O-M-F turble. Recognizing those common ways people actually speak.
Yeah, those reductions. And February was another one. Saying February is completely fine, very common.
It just takes some pressure off, doesn't it? Knowing that perfect imitation isn't necessary. Intelligibility is what matters.
Exactly. And they gave some solid tips for working on it, like practicing in front of a mirror.
Yeah, seeing how your mouth moves.
Or recording yourself. That can be really revealing, even if it feels a bit weird at first.
Definitely helpful for that self-awareness. Okay, so building on that foundation, the mindset, the useful phrases, the focus on clear speech, English Unlocked, also lays out some concrete strategies, actionable tips to boost confidence.
Right. 5 key tips. The first one sounds simple, but it's powerful. Make speaking English a daily thing.
Even if you're alone.
Especially if you're alone. Just talking to yourself, narrating what you're doing. It gets your brain and your mouth used to forming those English sentences.
Interesting. Okay, what's tip 2?
Using technology. Things like voice recording apps, or even, they mentioned ChatGPT specifically, conversational AI.
Ah, for practice partners.
Yeah, low pressure practice. You can experiment without feeling judged. get some feedback.
Makes sense. Tip 3.
This one's crucial, I think. Prioritize fluency, just getting your message out over perfect grammar, especially at the start of a conversation.
Don't get bogged down in finding the perfect word or tense right away.
Exactly. Keep the conversation flowing. You can always clean up the grammar later or as you get more comfortable.
Okay. Number 4.
This is about learning smarter, maybe. Focus on learning sentence patterns, like common structures, not just isolated words.
So, how words typically fit together in English?
Precisely. It helps you build sentences more naturally. Think building blocks, not just individual bricks.
I like that analogy. And the last one, tip 5.
Immersion. Surround yourself with English. Music, podcasts, movies.
Anything, really.
Yeah, anything that helps you absorb the rhythm, the intonation, the natural flow of the language.
So when you put all those tips together,
It's really about consistent exposure and actually doing it, isn't it? Making English part of your routine so it feels less foreign, less scary.
yeah, less of a subject and more of a tool you use. Now, Alex and I also spent quite a bit of time on the mindset side of things. And I agree, the psychology here is, well, probably just as important as the techniques.
Oh, absolutely. And what I found really insightful was their point about acknowledging the progress you're already making.
How do you mean?
Well, they say, look, if you're listening to resources like their podcast or this deep dive right now, you're already taking action. You're already committed.
That's a great point. It's easy to forget how far you've come and just focus on what you can't do yet.
Exactly. So give yourself credit for the effort. And they also reframe the end goal. It's not about becoming a native speaker clone.
Right. What is it about then?
Confident communication. Being able to share your ideas, connect with people, be understood in English, that's the real win.
That feels much more achievable and maybe more meaningful too. It takes away that pressure of needing to sound like someone you're not.
It's about being an effective communicator in English, not necessarily a native speaker of English.
And they finish that section with a really punchy line. Confidence comes from speaking, not waiting.
So true. You can read all the tips, listen to all the podcasts, but confidence, that builds when you actually open your mouth and try.
Every single attempt, perfect or not, adds a little bit to that confidence bank.
It really does. So, okay, if we kind of pull all this together from our dive into English Unlocked, we've seen how important it is to just accept mistakes.
Yeah, embrace them. Use those simple, natural phrases to get started.
Focus on being clear when you speak, not necessarily having a perfect accent.
Put those practical tips into action daily practice. Use tech. Focus on fluency first. Learn patterns.
Immerse yourself, and crucially, work on that mindset shift.
Recognize your efforts, aim for communication, and just speak. Don't wait.
Which leads us nicely to a final thought for you listening. Based on all this, what's one small thing, one concrete step you could take, maybe even today, to practice speaking?
Maybe try one of those phrases like, sorry, I didn't catch that, next time you need clarification.
Or record yourself talking about your day for just 1 minute. Or decide, okay, for the next 10 minutes while I'm cooking, I'll think out loud in English.
Just something small, something actionable. The main thing is moving from just listening or reading about it to actually doing it, taking that first step.